Welcome to this webinar organized in the framework of the European project LIVESEED. So my name is Frédéric Hiré. I work for ITAB, the Organic Food and Farming Institute in France. I lead LIVESEED Work Package 2. This event has been prepared with the support of my colleague Emma Flippon and of Agnes Bruzik from IFOAM Organics Europe. So this is the third webinar organized on new cultivar testing models for organic agriculture. Today, so this is SeedLinked tools and initiatives that will be presented by Nicolas Enjalbert. Nicolas is SeedLinked founder and CEO. So now I will give the floor to Nicolas, and after his presentation, there will be time for questions. So Nicolas, let's go. And if you could please start by presenting yourself, that would be good.
Yeah, hi everyone. Thanks so much for having me. It's such an honor to be presenting this collaborative work from the US. And I am French, from the central France, in l'Allier au Bourbonnais. I did a diplôme d'ingénieur in Toulouse, in Purpan, and then I moved to the US because my English was too bad. But I ended up doing a PhD in plant breeding. And after doing my PhD in the US, I've been a breeder for about 8 years. I focus a lot in ecophysiology, crop modeling, data, GBI during my breeding journey in company, as well as population breeding in alfalfa and forage crops. And during this journey has been all the time very fascinated by this collaborative seed movement model. And so this is really how at one point I made the jump and see a lot of opportunity. And in 2018, created the platform SeedLinked. And so during my presentation, I just want to give an intro in the concept. I will give you a tour of the platform live of the current first version of the platform. I will go over 2 years of beta testing and what we learn and to give you kind of an overview of the scope of the project. Then from what we learn and where we are heading, to talk about limitation and some advantage of the platform, give you a roadmap and also presentation of the team behind SeedLinked and what business model moving forwards. And so really the SeedLinked came from different experience I had. But first is big frustration being a breeder and seeing so much data being generated but never reaching the grower and vice versa. Knowing, there's thousands of growers planting our variety, but being never able to get why in this connected world we could get data straight from the farm that would really help our breeding program. And also come to realization, like for example, this tomato in the US, I can ask the question, how many tomato variety are available online? And it's close to 5,500, and almost none of them have available data to make decision as a grower. But on the flip side, yeah, why as a breeder could you get also information from the user? And so, I mean, imagine a network of thousands, and we can even see the word million of people connected to create this connected seed intelligence or seed story that really will help on both sides of the grower and the people. And I know there's overlap between grower and breeder and farmer breeder, but to really build this seed collective intelligence. And I've been very inspired by this group. This map is coming is Precipitation Science, Citizen Science Group. It's called Cultivars, who has 30,000 members who send precipitation data every single day. And the trends after just 3 years were better than 50 years of research station or weather station. And why can't we do that in agriculture when in the US alone, for example, Gardner, it's amazing. We have 32 million households who grow vegetable every year. We have more than 50,000 vegetable growers. That's not counting grain, agro, and other. During COVID time, we had a 3.5x increase on average. Many seed companies saw up to 10x increase in demand. And so why can't we connect those? And well, it's complicated, right? Especially this emerging seed movement or seed economy is so fascinating because it's has so much meaning, and it's what's driving me every day because it's diverse, right? It's diverse in stakeholder and people, and we've talked in past webinar of the importance of diversity of people, but in place, in management, in crops. You know, it's not like the current global system and just few crop. It's hundreds of different crop, many varieties in crop, but also diverse in terms of interaction. And so it's also much more collaborative, decentralized, which kind of create some messiness and complexity, right? And so there's a lot of friction and following a lot of all you listening and other amazing program, and listening a few weeks ago, months ago, Frédéric talking about also experience in France, but it's very similar of barrier in terms of logistic, data collection and data sharing, instant sharing result, and being able to create meaningful value and information to all the people. And so oftentimes, like I see in the US, like results where have been shared 12 months later. And so for a grower who is engaged in sharing information, it creates a lot of frustration. It creates sometimes lower participation rate, lower engagement, and it's hard to scale. Like how to push the boundary. I think we can push the boundary to a very wide network that can create this amazing information. And so during my breeding journey, I've been exposed to potential new technology, and it's not that new, but mobile device, cloud computing, and so mobile device, most of us can send information everywhere. I know this is a concern and sometimes in different countries like France, and some farmers don't want to use, but globally it's heavily used. With cloud computing, really data can flow everywhere at any given time. And data science have just exploded in terms of how we curate data, how we analyze, but also how we display and how we share. How do we present this data? How do we make it interactive? How do we make it prescriptive? And so it's like kind of this what if question, like what if, you know, crowdsourced data could be more accurate than conventional replicated intense augmented design. And Jacob talked about in the past webinar, and all his work is amazing, kind of validating this question. But and another question we have and still have is how a platform model could remove those barriers of logistics and sharing information. And also what if, yeah, we could push the boundary of participation and engagement to a point that we could really get more regional seed collective intelligence. And the last point is we decided as SeedLinked to go in a social enterprise way, a lot of discussion, but and so we are piloting, and we don't know, but we took this journey and this question of what if we could find a financial model, business model that could make this platform self-sufficient with ethical governance. And so, yeah, that's the platform started, and that's really two pillars, as a crowdsourced side of facilitating data exchange. And now we are really into the phase 2 of connectivity in terms of really creating as much value as we can with all this collective data to really drive value and resilience, but also engagement of all parties. And integrating more environmental data to be more prescriptive. And so I'm going to give a quick tour. I know some people have seen it, but maybe a little refresher for those and for the people who haven't seen it. But it's a two-sided platform. In one hand, you have trial manager, breeder, and it can be university, seed bank, nonprofit, large research institute, and so forth that running trial. And on the other side, we have grower, gardener, eater, consumer, chefs that are submitting data and are interested by the result. And so let me know Can you see my screen of the platform? Sometimes it doesn't work when I show websites.
It works,
okay,
yes.
Awesome. So I'm just going to give a quick tour, and I just want to go then into other number, but just to give a context of where we are right now. But let's see, here is a trial manager dashboard, where here we have a mini head lettuce trial with 49 people invited. We have 6 variety from 2 breeder, and we can see who planted. So 74% people planted, 30% harvested. You can see the different traits. You can send automatic reminder. You can see where those people are. You can upload packaging list in this case because it's a triadic, and so there's a combination of 3. You can create trial, and we have 4 different type of trial. So we have typical 1 to 5 score. We have triadic or the ClimMob, best and worst. We have tasting, and we have single location multi-reviewer type trial. And so you can just pick a crop and then add variety and so forth, and add source seed lot, invite as many people as you want, pick the traits. It's all qualitative traits, and for now it will be also quantitative in the future. And then you create a trial, in people invited automatically go in their account. I will show just in a second. But also a big advantage is, for example, looking at this mini lettuce trial, we can see live results at any given time of people submitted reviews. So for example, here is my 6 variety. I can see my live running average of different traits, how many reviewers are behind those data. I can pick the different trait I want. Let's say earliness, it's a pretty big deal. I can filter by farmer or gardener. I can look at just my region, my hardiness zone, all hardiness zone. I can see live posted picture behind each variety, live comments that can be also created by the network. So that's a quick tour of the trial manager, and that's all. This is going to be is in redesign and improvement for the new version in January. And from the flip side, let's say you invited your grower, and that we have an amazing colored trial with 245 people using triadic from Jacob. Thanks, Jacob. And best and worst. As a user, that's the web. It's not the mobile. We have this in mobile as well. Here you have your traits. You can review best, worst, enter picture, comments, dates. You can see where you are in terms of progress. And you can see all the other people that are part of this trial, which is pretty fascinating to see. Yeah, you can see your picture you posted. And as soon as you're done as a grower, I didn't show, but you complete your trial. When you complete, we have few questions. Management question: was trial a good success? Was it organic or not? Field, soil, and so forth. So it's a quick management. And as soon as you're done, your trial move to complete here. And for example, here a trial with seed saver exchange. The grower sees a result right away, the running result, because it's maybe not completed, but the results are directly shared, which add value. And so that was a quick tour of the current platform. I will show you our learning, and also after the new version that we are building. All right, track time 13 minutes, but like mentioned, we have tasting with QR code, and some of you have tried it last winter in Oregon at the conference. That's been very successful. We have a lot of flavor data coming in the platform. We also, our mobile is work offline, meaning if you're in your farm or in your office and you have Wi-Fi, you go in your farm, you don't have any more connection, it's still working, you come back to your office and you automatically sync. So that's been very important. Now I'm just going to give you a quick overview of the scope in the last 2 years. go over the volume of data, the accuracy, how it is split, and just to start a quick overview of the overall data structure. Let's see if you work. Okay, yep. So it's only in North America across 32 crop, mostly vegetable crop. We have few small grain that we start to work with the Rocky Mountain Seed Alliance. And we see a big seasonality in terms of data flowing, and that's something we are working. It's an issue where we see a lot of data submitted towards the end of the growing season, meaning people are not using enough mobile device, or they are not. It's not as ubiquitous during the growing season. People are, I mean, a lot of people are, but the majority tend to push data towards the end. And so that's really we're trying to improve, better mobile device, better UX, and so forth. The total review so far, as of today, I think it passed 50,000. You can see the data is exponential. We are close to 2,000 growers submitting data. You can see the breakdown by crop. I think I have a better view, but it's heavily on the big market crop like pepper, tomato, carrot, cucumber, lettuce, squash, and broccoli, which is in line with also the demand on the market. So that's a good sign. But definitely we would like to have more data on more minor crop. That's a target we have. In terms of trials, it's been a little bit wild last 2 years. We targeted to get 10, 15 trial. We have more than 350 trial as of today. On average, we have 16 people completed each trial across all trial. If we look at triadic, which allow to get more people, we have an average of close to 26 people. And so that's kind of an overview of the structure of the data. And to go back, okay, go back here. Also, I want to look at participation rate and how it is depending on different network. In the left, we have farmer. On the right, we have gardener. And the participation rate, we have 2 mature experience networks, Seed to Kitchen with Dr. Julie Dawson, Seed Saver Exchange, more in only gardener. You can see that experience network have a much higher completion rate than I put it under SeedLinked is all new participants, and we have lower. However, those numbers are still very high in citizen science project. A higher number is around 40%, and so those existing network are definitely higher, and emerging network are under, but they're still a good number. I was expecting a higher participation rate or completion from gardener as they may have more time, but they maybe have less experience. We see also different participation rate across crops, so there's difficulty as well and completion. So from the easiest at lettuce and tomato, as many gardener grow tomato as well, to harder like carrots and cucumber. So that's interesting to be aware of. It's depend of crop as well as traits. We see easy traits like very visual appearance that are many more people use these traits, and marketability, obviously it's much more for a farmer and it's more ambiguous and flavor. And so it's important to be aware of this difference. Also in parallel to strictly scoring and triadic, we add the same variety in augmented replicated trial in different location. And in carrots, cucumber, and pepper, we see strong correlation between the two, which was amazing. And from Jacob new publication, it's really validating assumption that actually we strongly believe that on-farm simple qualitative data is more predictive, meaning using on-farm review is more predictive for the following growing season on what to plant. And so that's super exciting to see all this work done from biodiversity and validating what we're doing. We see here just few trials to see the discriminative ability, but on basil with 33 people here, for example, with 5 variety, we see very strong difference on overall performance. We see similar in bean with less people, just 19 people and 7 variety. And so that's also exciting to see. Thanks, Jacob, for putting all your publication that really are inspiring us and driving us here. We also see strong correlation between farmer and gardener on most traits, not all traits, but that's also open possibility to bring more and more gardener. I know there is discussion on what other stakeholder and user to bring in Europe in this collaborative trialing, and I think gardener is one that we totally underestimate. And just with our first version that has been very clunky, poor UX, I mean, we are learning a lot. We had a trial logistic decreased by half by the different organization. We had about 35 organization total. The increased participation rate, double. The cost of running trial, we're starting to dive more into cost using the platform, but it can be up to 12x cheaper. And we see strong discriminative ability, potential better on-farm prediction, and so forth. And from a grower side, I put ease of collaborative trialing. I would put some cautious in that because our user experience has been poor, and for some growers, it's been frustrating. Even if we see a double in participation, I think, and I'm going to talk more about this to speed up a little bit about really our discovery and learning about how to engage more the grower with better flowy platform. I mean, I'm sure you all experience using an app or a platform and some feeling totally trapped, not finding anything. And that was kind of us, just a sad realization, but it was a learning. And you all probably use some that it's just flowing, you just super easy, and this is our goal. And so really looking at, in a learning moment, a realization is that a lot of users were not, or participants were not sending data along the growing, but more once a month, so at the end of the growing season. And so that's something we are trying to work a lot. Like I say, we are constantly trapping user with poor edit, delete, go back, but also guidance, like really communication and messaging through the platform, through the action to make the user comfortable, confident in his journey of sharing the data and also seeing the data, but also this constant balance between flexibility and a lot of feature to try to please everyone and simplicity. And that's something, it's a big challenge. The more flexible, the more versatile, the more complex. And then it's become harder. And so that's something I will show where is our new platform going. And also we were focused mostly on PC, where more and more people are mobile. And so we are putting much more focus now on mobile. And a big thing we are now working is how to create value to build engagement, and value by building the seed finder. I'm going to talk in a little bit, being able to let grower run their own trial, being able to have comparative tool, benchmarking tool and analytics, being able to link to the organic certification, to see full transparency, to be able to see who sell each variety, have social media where people can connect through a collaborative trial, can share experience via picture, comment, question, interact with the trial manager, but also see who is planting near me, who is harvesting near me, and what's best variety, all kind of in an ecosystem. And so that's really where we are heading. And so just to give you a sense of our new platform. Okay, can I put this in full screen? Maybe not. So our new platform look is like this. We are launching this by the end of December, early January. From a grower side is really where we have been working a lot to launch an Explore seed finder with working closely with expert in UX. We'll have 4 pillars, so explore, tracking or collaborative trialing, and social media. And so having a search where you can really dive into the seed story and data on including all the information, picture, data collected by everyone in interactive design, looking at your own bioregion, looking at best comment and review, who is selling those variety, equivalent variety, and so forth. Let's see if that's work. And also, so yeah, really good filter by trait maturity, so essential filter, looking at location, season, but also being able to have comparative tool about, okay, I had 4 variety and I can compare this variety with collective data to make decision. We are adding benchmarking. Let's say big beef tomato is my reference tomato in my farm. How can those 4 stack against this one, and to really being able to gain value from all this knowledge, and then being able to do wish lists, and then from this wish list in the future, being able to buy seed or to track them and create your own trials. So from you can track it, add to a new planting, create your own planting and trial. You can set up checks, add traits you want to add to be able to review, invite people, your husband, intern to be able to review, and then track. And so we're going to have different trials now. We're going to have collaborative trials. That's what we are until now, but you can have also your own planting on trial. You can see a calendar view of planting, add checks. And the mobile device is really where social media is building. And so that's a look of the social media with more first-time user guidance all across the platform, to be able to okay, so the search engine is also in the platform to be able to see data in the platform, a wish list, but really the social media piece. Okay. Okay, just trying to put in full screen to be able to show. Is it going to work? Let's see, you can track. All right, here we go. The social media piece, being able to follow people, follow variety, follow organization, and see trials being posted, comments, and when you follow a variety, you can see all the results flowing behind this variety. You have group, or if you run a collaborative trial with tomato in Italy with Matteo, everybody part of this collaborative trial can exchange. Matteo can communicate with them. You can see review, picture, and so forth. You can post, see who planted and what's been planted near you, or if there's disease or anything can be exchanged. And so really building this full connectivity is really the importance. And so that's kind of the new version of the platform we're building, and really focusing on those criteria that also Jacob have been talking in different papers mentioned, but really the ease of use and simplicity and UX to summarize, the speed of data flowing from one to another stakeholder and issues that Frederick mentioned in last webinar, and being adaptable to the different crops, but still being simple. Engagement and value, ease of interpretation of the data to be very interactive and easy and clear for people to use. But it's just a platform, right? And so there is pros and cons, and not everyone is using it. We notice about 15% are dropping, but we are increasing the people participating. So there's definitely trade-off. It's technology dependent. There's question about data ownership, business model, but it has a lot of value too. As I mentioned before, I don't need to talk about. So our roadmap is pretty heavy for the next 2 years. So launching what I just showed you is a search, all this ecosystem for the grower to drive engagement and adoption. Redesign of the trial manager to have much more sharing capacity, being able to have data flowing from, let's say, if Monica is running a trial with different breeder, so the breeder can see the data from this trial. So a lot of connectivity among people. Adding quantitative data, more analysis that we don't have. Adding breeding features like advancements and voting to advance line. Marketplace, language, have more crop-specific ontology, augmented design, organic certification, capacity to a proof of search, proof of trialing, and environmental data layering. So as an example of environmental data layering, we would like to build to be more prescriptive. And who we are, we're a team of 5 core co-founder, from breeder, farmer, data scientist, software engineer, organic certifier. And we have amazing advisor from Julie Dawson at UW, Organics Alliance, Seed Saver, Seed Company, Nature Conservancy, and funded from private and public organization. We are really refining a business model, and our business model is really to be able to potentially have a marketplace with a fee on transaction, but have everything else free of use, free of running trial, free of data flow, but having the transactional piece where we could capture value to self-fund the platform. We are really discussing in terms of data ownership. All the user owns their own data, but the platform need to be able to create value with this data and use this data. So there's definitely a lot of question around this. And we are really a mission-driven organization, a social enterprise, a benefit corporation, with really focusing on small farmers that anyway produce 70% of the global food, and really pushing the diversity piece, having much more trialing capacity, breeding capacity, and data for the hundreds of minor crops that are oftentimes called orphan crop. And I just want to thank you, all the organization, all the thousands of growers participating, and the funding. And I'm going to stop here. I just would love to, a lot of discussion, question. We could start from now. So yeah, please ask question. I can talk more about the user experience and kind of our issue we had. We are looking at more gamization, or how can we engage more people. So yeah, please, I don't know how you want to handle question.
Yes. So first, thank you very much, Nicolas, for this quick tour, very complete, many issues. So I'm pretty sure there will be a lot of questions, because you spoke a lot about many different things. So first, thank you for being with us again and for presenting this. Just to try to organize a bit the discussion, through the tool, you have a way to raise your hand. So please click on it so I can see who wants to speak and ask a question, and then I can give you the floor and allow questions. So always difficult to start. I don't know who would like to have a first question to Nicolas, because I'm pretty sure many of you do have questions. I don't see any hands. Do you all see how to raise your hand?
And I have a question maybe for you. I mean, how do you see mobile device and more technology being embraced in your own country? I know we talk a little bit with in France being an issue. Is this a concern from you? And many people see concern about that.
Okay, so you mean some kind of limitation due to people that do not have any smartphone, for example?
Or refuse to use it, or refuse to share data, and would rather really be more focused on, I know in person is, the platform is not replacing in person, but I know for some of you it's really central. And so
I don't know who wants to react. I see, Pierre, that you have your hand raised. I don't know if it's related to this issue in particular or if you have other question, but maybe you want to say something about that too.
Yeah, yes, thank you very much for your presentation. No, it was a question. I have lots of questions, but I just chose two. So the first one, it's how did you choose the variables? Because we saw some variables like earliness and things like that. So how did you choose it? Is it used at purpose to farmers and gardeners, or is it coming from a discussion? And so how was the process to decide on the variable? So this is the first question.
yeah, yep.
Oh yes, you can start with this one. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, that's a great question. It's been just a collaborative, so we've been really working with many collaborative group, like Dr. Julie Dawson, Seed Saver, or the Canopy people in Canada, or Organic Seed Alliance. And so it's a collaboration between those organizations and the farmer and the gardener within this organization, who collaboratively decided, okay, those are the most important, and we are adding some variable over time. Then when people create a trial, they choose a variable, and they choose those variable in line with what the grower are looking for. For example, in the Upper Middle West, earliness and disease is really two big traits that farmers are really looking for, a different option, and flavor. And so those three are constantly part of trial, but yeah, it can fluctuate depending on the region and objective of the trial. And yeah, you had another question?
Yes, thank you. And the other question, and what's the balance between the use of SeedLinked and the meeting with people? So how is it connected? Do you meet twice a year to discuss to set the experiments and then discuss the result, or maybe there are different groups, different way to organize? So my general question is how it is balanced between meeting and the tool.
Yeah, and yeah, a really good question. SeedLinked is just a tool. It's really a tool. It's not replacing any in-person, and it's not organizing in-person meeting. So it's just a tool that an organization and a network will use for the data exchange, sharing the result, and connecting this data in the future for everyone to see and search. But in parallel to just this tool, they're all meeting in person, not really during that time currently we have, but normally there's a lot of in-person. And we see that having this tool and removing some of this friction of data exchange, it preps the work for in-person meeting where, okay, people already seen the result, and now they kind of come in-person meeting, and there's a lot of discussion about validity, or how does it split different region, or how people react to it. I think brings the social media piece, the picture and the comment in the platform, start to create this engagement, but in any means never will replace in person. And I hope it will never.
Thank you, Nicolas.
Okay, thank you.
I guess Pierre, you have other questions, but I see some hand raised, so I will will share the time between people, and then maybe you can come back later on if you have additional questions. I see a question from Mathilde.
Hi.
Hey, Mathilde.
Hi, Nicolas. So thanks for the presentations first. I have also two questions. The first one, so you say that you are looking into how to provide guidance on how to make the user confident on how to use the platform, etc. do you currently have ideas on how to provide guidelines on how to score qualitative and subjective traits like vigor that often require to, compare it with a reference within the trial so that you can actually make the data comparable across trials? And the second question would be, how do you actually handle these reference varieties across trial setups and geographies? Like, would you recommend actually specific existing commercial varieties as reference in the triad, for example? Thanks.
Yeah, those are two tricky questions. The first question, there's a lot of discussion about the first question, and I think the common agreement is don't provide information. Is simplification, right? Is like, okay, earliness. What is your gut feeling really? Like we try. I mean, and as a breeder, I try to take a team of interns who have zero experience of reviewing, let's say, earliness, and flow them with way of reviewing earliness, and another group with giving zero guidance or just basic. And I was striking that the one I give the least guidance, actually the data is more accurate than the one I give the more. And it's because people start to think too much. And as a breeder, I've seen it so many times that if I spend too much time in front of one plot, then I ask too much question. But if I get into this gut feeling and flow, actually my data is better. And I think we underestimate the experience of gardener and grower and this gut feeling they have of like, okay, that is what I think is a 3 or 5. And also because we have way many more people. And so there's a quantity versus quality. Like when you have trial with 200 people, it's okay if few people messed up. And so actually we shifted from, okay, we need to have the check that is this check is a 3 in terms of disease for downy mildew, and this check is a 1, and this check is a 5, and then it's become a very complex process that is much more like a traditional breeding program. And it's kind of what Jacob mentioned about, are we starting from the farmer point of view, or are we starting from the university standpoint or scientist? But I really want to start from the farmer or the grower. And your next question is, I think it was in terms of suggestion of variety, how do we suggest in results? We all know that there's no, there's no black and white answer in variety recommendation. I don't know if you can you see my screen now? Okay, I'm trying to just show our result here, but we have multiple traits, right? We have, I mean, the audience here are all aware of that, but so you can play with the data, right? And so we don't want to say, hey, this is the variety you need to have. You can say, hey, for me, disease, earliness, and flavor are the 3 traits the most important. Okay, those are the results. I can see my rating versus average rating, and I can see that this tomato, for example, or this one maybe is the one I should use, and I can look at would you grow this again data, like just basic, and I can look at picture. I can dive into the comments, and some people write a book of comments if you want to read. You can dive between farmer and gardener, and so I hope we're going to be good at this, to not say, hey, plant this variety, but say, hey, this is a panel of varieties that could suit you well. And in the search engine, I hope we can successfully get there. What I talk about UX and guidance, it was not too much about how to evaluate the traits, but it's how to navigate in a platform, how to find the trial, review in an easy way. For example, having the only guidance really we give is like a progress bar where you can see the traits you've been asked to enter, and every time you do one, you see the completion. So this is 50% completed. And we have a very short description, nothing more. All right, I'm stopping here, but great question.
Thank you very much. Clear, yep, thanks.
Thank you. Just in the chat, there was a question from APCO who asked, do you agree to share your presentation as PDF to make it available together with the video? Is it okay for you, Nicolas?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, please share. And I have other recording that I can give you. So just send me an email at nico@SeedLinked, or you go on seedlinked.com and you can send me an inquiry. And yeah, of course. Yeah, good question.
Okay. Maybe, okay, you mentioned that Matteo, you had some exchange with Matteo in Italy. Maybe Matteo, you can say a few words why you get in contact and what you are trying to implement there. What's interesting from your point of view? Matteo, yeah?
Yeah, okay, thanks, Fred. Hello, everyone. I got in touch with Nico this spring because I heard about SeedLinked at the LIVESEED annual meeting, and I wanted to use it for our LIVESEED tomato trials, and exactly for the reasons that Nicolas explained before, which means the difficulty of obtaining data from decentralized trials, and then the whole lag and delay that's kind of inevitable when you have to transfer things from paper on Excel and etc. etc. In the end, it was not possible because our trials were with a lot of quantitative data, and we ended up doing it with different systems. However, we are hoping to bring SeedLinked to Italy, and we applied for funding to translate the platform and the app in Italian, extend the geo-referencing to Italy, because we have our community seed bank with many Italian land races and population accessions that we distribute freely to farmers making a request, and we would like to get some information back on how they're performing, and also to allow farmers and gardeners to also get some information back on how things are going, interact with each other, and maybe on the long run it could be a very attractive feature if SeedLinked could be used for organic variety trials to provide recommendation lists, official recommendation list. So these are the ideas at the moment, and that's very early stages, but
yeah, that's a really good point, Matteo, about organic, and we just got a big grant with different organizations to build this so we are working with the 58 organic certifier in the US to try to make the platform, and so I hope we can build features that can help you.
Yes.
Yeah,
So we of course we discussed this with Nicolas as well, that in Europe we have this language barrier that doesn't exist in the US. So it may be necessary to also adapt the platform interface to make it kind of more relevant to our national context. So this is also something to consider. But yes, I think that the huge potential, because at least in Italy, most farmers and and growers within our network are constantly using the phone to send pictures or messages via WhatsApp, or post on Facebook groups how this or that variety is doing, and the interaction between these farmers is very important, and it's very valued by them. So this kind of social media, between inverted commas, aspect, I think is can make it very attractive.
Yeah, and it's the same here. By surveying and interviewing many growers, the #1 thing they would like to see in the platform is, yeah, this interactivity.
Okay. Linked with what said Matteo, we have a comment from Francois who asked about if you plan to have different languages. I think in your roadmap you presented this, Nicolas, to have different language. I think included French, if I was good. Yeah, January next. Oh, quite soon. Nicolas, are you still there? I don't hear you.
Sorry, I muted myself. Yeah, we are hoping to start this winter, and it's depend on funding. The Canadian are using a lot, and as it's government organizations, they have to have French in the language. And as soon as we start to build infrastructure for multi-language, it's very easy to add other language. So our goal is to, okay, we have we call internationalization, and then we can, adding language, we can just collaborate with each of you for in Portuguese or German or Italian, you know.
Okay,
so,
super. Yes, because Pedro is waiting for you in
yeah, I would love to work with Pedro. I really enjoy talking to him, and I would love to. I was really hoping to visit this last September, but I hope next September we can.
Yes, it's complicated.
Meet in person. Yeah, meet in person and not with platform.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pierre, do you have your hand raised? Do you want to ask also?
Yes, another question. I was wondering, how do you deal with G by E information? I'm not really used of rank analysis, and when just what you saw, it's a general stars, for example, 5 stars, 4 stars, but is it all the data from all your network, or can you zoom on a specific area? Because maybe it's not the same depending on area. So I was wondering, how do you manage this kind of information,
Yeah.
G by E interaction?
Yeah, very good question. And to be honest, right now we are strictly using hardiness zone, and so the hardiness zone is kind of the mapping of, it's based on temperature, and so we have the GIS layer behind in the platform, in the backends. And so, for example, here that's my address, and so I know I'm in this zone, and so I can pull all the data from this zone. It's really it's kind of the biggest or the most used GIS region in the US, but it's missing so much. So like precipitation, solar radiation, humidity, that really impact disease and so forth are still missing. So we are planning to add those. And then we don't have yet like all the analytics, and that's in our roadmap of 2 years, using the Placket Loose Ranking model, R package from Jacob. And it's in split ranking. You can, in his paper in PNS, you can really see how he does that. So that's our goal for ranking that we are planning to have. And so, yeah, so that's kind of, it's one step at a time, but so far as the way we are heading. And so in the search engine, you can, you will be able to filter by hardy zone. So here, so you hardy zone all region. And in the portal is when you look at your result, you can break it down, but we don't have advanced GBI analysis for now. And as I think Pierre, you mentioned, but really we saw that the hardest part was the logistical, the flow, the UX, the data collection, the sharing data. And so this is where we focus first to try to improve participation. And then we will bring more and more in-depth analysis in the next 2 years. Yeah,
Okay.
really good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
So we have 2 questions. So we announced to stop now, but maybe we can continue with those who still want to discuss, if it's okay for you, Nicolas.
Yeah, of course. I have 25 more minutes.
Yeah, wonderful. So let's continue, and if people want to leave or need to leave, so don't worry, you will be able to catch up later on by rewatching it. So I have there is a question from Julia here about who are the people participating, I guess, through the SeedLinked platform. How are you in touch with them? I don't know if you see the chat question.
Yeah, I'm looking at the chat
and then
here.
I will give the floor to Monica, and then to I saw another.
So the people who participate are 60% gardener, 40%, or actually maybe 45% farmer now. From the grower side, from the organization side, we have all from seed company, small and large. Large, I mean, it's still in the small seed company, but non-profit, seed bank, university, extension. So kind of the whole organization. We have chef. We have quite a bit of chef, and we have collaboration between chef and those organization. And so, yeah, we're trying to grow the diversity of people that are interacting. And it's mostly vegetable grower, even if we're starting to have some small grain. Hemp is growing quite a bit. So, yeah.
Super, thank you. Nicolas, and maybe also then Jacob, I saw you provided a lot of references, so maybe after Monica you can say something if you want. Monica?
Yes, I actually have a question about the data sharing. So are the people who participating, they are all willing to share the data with everybody, or do you have also seen that people are reluctant to share their data? And is there a difference between farmers and gardeners on that? And then maybe related to that. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, go ahead. Related to
just related to that. How is your business model for SeedLinked? Like, if you want to make it a free service for everybody and open source, how you finance your the improvement of your program and getting more features. So what is your vision on that?
Yeah, those are 2 fundamental questions, and it's evolving. Like the data sharing, I think is a lot of cultural, and in the US, it's broadly very accepted and okay to share the data. Right now, our data privacy and term is, and we have to follow the law anyway, but every user owns his own data, and you can retrieve it or you can delete your account, but you accept the platform to aggregate this data to create results and collective intelligence for others. However, we have trials that can be private, and so this trials that data is maybe more experimental, or and we don't want to be shared to everyone, so we can as well do that. And that is evolving again. And the sharing, in terms of sharing the data, we are opening and building more and more sharing capacity to be able to have a trial in SeedLinked with the HTML link that you can post in website and everywhere else, where people can see those results even if they didn't participate to the trial. Like I mentioned, other breeder organization or who want to see the results live can also in the future we will be able to receive those data a seed company, or and the business model is really our dream, and where we are trying to really go is really to have this open source free platform to use to really run trial, see the results, share data, have a search engine, being able to have any grower who can run their own trial, really. That's going to be launched in January, to be able to run your own trial, and all that's to be free. And oftentimes in this two-sided platform, you have a free side and a more pay side to just find the platform. And where it seems that we are getting to a consensus is that is going to turn into a marketplace or click-through rate, where as let's say you have this tomato and you have 3 distributors, and they are gaining a lot of value by having this data and people that can buy this variety, and we take a small fee on transaction. And so by doing our business plan and different financial analysis, we already have close to 20 seed companies that are willing to be part of this as a pilot for next year in the US and Canada. And we are talking to dozen other companies. So really our goal is to have this free tool subsidized by the marketplace.
So then the seed company do kind of a sponsoring.
In a sense, but they're also getting a lot of value because this data is really helping them refining their offering. It's also bring a better experience to their grower. Especially, we see many small seed company, regional seed company, who have amazing variety in the US, and we have 450 seed companies in the US, so it's insane. But many of those small company struggle to reach to farmer because there's less trust on those small seed company, and maybe they have just one variety that is really good. And so if suddenly you have this content and information, the small seed company will attract many more farmer. Yeah.
Thank you, Nicolas. Jacob, do you want to say something? Thank you for being with us.
Yeah. Hey, everybody.
Yeah, Jacob.
Yeah, maybe. Hey, Nico. So I was thinking that also if so we have built another platform that's called ClimUp that does some things that are also in SeedLinked right now, and some things that are not yet in SeedLinked, etc. We're trying to coordinate, so we don't want to have the two platforms competing with each other. So I work for kind of a non-profit organization. Nico has set up a social enterprise, so it's kind of different. And our platform is more built for trials in Latin America, Africa, Asia. But if like for pilots, etc., also in Europe, we're planning to use also the ClimUp platform for now, and then slowly making a transition to the SeedLinked platform as well. So if you have an interest in doing a tricot style trial, you could start working with the ClimUp platform while also doing, say, the translation for SeedLinked, etc. So ClimUp is a little bit more difficult to use. I mean, it's less focused on the user experience online, because many farmers that work with us don't have even a smartphone, but it's very flexible. So you can set up experiments and also different surveys, etc., in a fairly flexible way, including quantitative data, etc. So some of the software is even shared between the two pieces of software. And I don't want to make people show it as a competition to SeedLinked, because it's not a business, but maybe it could help. I don't know. Maybe Nico, you want to comment on that?
Yeah, it's a very good point. And we talk with Matteo in Italy. I mean, with you, Jacob, we talk a lot. Is how to expand this tool and make it collaborative in all part, and yeah, to not also compete but really collaborate. And so that's really what we are talking with Jacob on, how to integrate the tool together and benefit from the tremendous work that they are doing. Also looking at more business model. if the marketplace model is sufficient to provide revenue and profit redistribution that Jacob mentioned quite a bit in our discussion about reallocation of profit to tool like and team like Biodiversity or like Matteo or Feeble or so how to be in a more collaborative governance, and we are all learning right now. I mean, it's just one trying to survive, to move forwards and quick and
yeah, because there's a number of opportunities. So Matteo's also contacted me about it, and I think we can put something together where we move quickly, maybe using ClimUp as a first pilot, and then testing maybe elements of the SeedLinked platform.
Yep.
For data visualization, for example, etc. So we could actually, now that I'm thinking about it, I was just thinking about it. We can actually use it to our benefit in a way that the two tools have a kind of a slightly different focus, but are complementary at this moment while we work on further integration development of the tools.
Jacob, you're also working now having via WhatsApp or text that can be helpful. And data can flow to ClimUp and then flow back to the search engine of SeedLinked. And so all those are a possibility. And so it's exciting. And thanks so much.
Yes, and for those who don't know Jacob, so the second webinar was you can watch it also just to understand what you're just talking right now for those who weren't there last time.
Yeah.
Great, thank you. Pierre, again, you still have a question, and Monica also as well. I see your hand raised.
Yeah. Yes, I have a question because in your roadmap you mention quantitative data, and I was wondering what do you have in mind behind this, and how you would manage to get this data, and by who? Because I guess it's much more complicated than
it is much more complicated, and so we have this funding via the USDA and UW-Madison and OSA to bring this more quantitative data. And so, I mean, it's integrating quantitative data into this app for farmer grower to record, for example, kilogram per linear per meter of carrots or other type of data like this that. And we are not sure if this is the way we need to go, but we will try. We have a lot of hemp grower and CBD quantity, percentage, all kind of data like this need to be included. And so that's a 3 years project. And so I would love to talk to you, Pierre, and have feedback on our journey on that. And because, if you start to have augmented design and replication, it means that in the data recording capacity, or we need to have kind of a mapping design of the field, and it just add a whole complexity of navigating through your trial in your field, and then in terms of analysis for those quantitative and augmented design is using Jared Zistro model that he built on the Organic Seed Alliance. So build this into SeedLinked. But okay. It's going to be a big task. I know. Yeah.
Okay. I think we can maybe stop here because we already are much after the time we proposed, and I don't want also to keep you too long, Nicolas. Thank you very much for having prepared and presented all these inputs. I guess yes, we will keep in touch, and if there are some additional questions, maybe we can continue exchanging by email
Yeah, everyone can contact me at nico@seedlinked.com. Thanks everyone. Thanks for having me, and have a good evening.